What's up, Bulls Nation? It's the Bloody Horns podcast. I'm your host, Justin. Let's get into it, man. So we had a really disappointing All-Star game yesterday. Anybody could have seen that coming. It's like when Kanye West released a new album, and those of us who liked him back in the college dropout days and everything like that, we're like, man, this album's so disappointing. It's like, yeah, we should have seen that coming. Kanye hasn't been good for 15 years now. It's the same thing with this All-Star game. We should have seen it coming. Hasn't been good for years now. So we really shouldn't be too shocked by it. One thing that I was really disappointed by, and this is the old man in me. I'm fully admitting this is the old white guy in me talking right now. I'm disappointed with Anthony Edwards, man. I'm super disappointed with Anthony Edwards. Just the whole way he treated All-Star Weekend. You know, Ant gets these MJ comparisons, and they're ludicrous. They've been ludicrous since people started throwing them out there. They've never made any sense other than they maybe slightly resemble each other. But, you know, the athleticism, yeah, I get it. But his game, it's not MJ-like. His drive, it's not MJ-like. And that really showed this All-Star Weekend. I get it. Players don't give a fuck about All-Star Weekend anymore. But Anthony Edwards took it to a whole new level this weekend. He did the skills contest left-handed. He, in the game yesterday, they had that weird sequence, him and Cat, where they were just firing the ball back and forth to each other. Like, Ant didn't give a fuck yesterday. Then he had the quote after the game where he was like, yeah, it's just a break for me. Like, I'm never going to come out here and play hard. That's just not what I do. And, you know, that's just super disappointing as a fan. And to bring it back to the Michael Jordan comparisons, Mike wasn't like that, man. And I realized Mike was the 1%. There's a reason Michael Jordan won 6 championships and dominated his era, and nobody else got to eat while he was there. And that's because Mike was different, man. Mike was going to kill you every time out there. It didn't matter if it was a scrimmage. It didn't matter if it was a regular season game in October. It didn't matter if it was an all-star game. It didn't matter if it was Team USA practices. He was going to murder you every time out there. That was the competitive drive. That's what made Mike special. That's what made Mike so dominant. Anthony Edwards doesn't have that in him. You know, Mike, doing the dunk contest when he was young, Mike has been on record. He said it was about proving myself. It was about going out there and dominating Dominique Wilkins in those dunk contests. It was about going out there, finding my rival and outdoing him. You know, Mike took competitiveness to a whole different level. Anthony Edwards does not have that dog in him. And I know all you kids out there, you're going to be like, it's just an all-star game, man. It ain't that big. And it's not that big, you know. It's not that big of a deal. But it does say a lot about somebody when they have the kind of quotes Anthony Edwards did and they do what they did Saturday night in that skills contest, just not giving a fuck, doing the whole thing left-handed. Just no competitive drive, no competitive instinct in him. He doesn't have that dog in him. So I need all Anthony Edwards and Michael Jordan comparisons to stop. We should never make that comparison again. He's not that dude. Anthony Edwards might be nice. He might be special. He might eventually be a top 5 player in the NBA, but he will never be a dominant player. I'm going to go out on a limb too. He's not going to reach the same heights that Dwayne Wade did. Dwayne Wade is a guy who I think is a much fairer comparison for Anthony Edwards. People kind of sleep on D-Wade because of how he finished his career and the perception that LeBron came to Miami and D-Wade just wasn't that good anymore, like it was LeBron's team. In reality, that first year in Miami, Dwayne Wade was better than LeBron that first year. People don't want to say it. People don't want to admit it, especially the LeBron historians out there. But go back, watch those playoff games. Watch that finals series. Dwayne Wade was the man on that team. And then you know what happened? He did seed the game to LeBron. He did seed the team to LeBron, but his knees also went out, man. In college, he tore his meniscus, and rather than get the long-term surgery, he went for the fast fix. They took his meniscus out. I personally have had the same procedure done myself, so I can speak to you feel good right away, but a couple years later, it starts catching up to you. And it caught up to Dwayne Wade, and, you know, that's why he was never the same in his career. But peak Dwayne Wade was a bad man. There was a good 5-year stretch there where peak Dwayne Wade, top 3 player in the NBA. A couple times vying for best player in the NBA kind of status, like he was in that conversation at least. So I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to say Anthony Edwards, he ain't going to reach that Dwayne Wade status either. He's not going to be a transcendent player. He's going to be a nice player, but, you know, based on what I've seen from him in his career as far as competitive drive goes, just not that impressed, guys. Call me a hater all you want. I'm going to call myself a realist. But Bulls are back on Thursday. They play the Boston Celtics. Should be a good game. If you haven't checked out the new podcast I dropped yesterday, it's 5 questions the Bulls got to answer in this last 27 games post All-Star break. Head to Spotify, head to Apple Podcasts. Check that out. Follow on socials at Horns Bloody, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram. Throw me a follow. Let's talk hoops. Unless you're one of those dumbass stat muse accounts, leave me out of that. Take it easy, guys. Have a good day.